Hey everyone, the St. George election this year is incredibly important. Go to votestg.com to see who's running and what they stand for, or visit us at our voter booth at Digby's Market, Red Rock Bicycles, or down in the park.
The city's intended to be slow so that they don't miss something, right? Because when the city misses something and they allow things to happen because of error, that can impact a lot of things, unintended consequences, right? So I think there is a side that I agree with. There's some intentional slowness around decision making. As a macro, right? In general. So not to say that I think government should just move faster for the sake of moving faster, but rewind the tape that the idea for Tech Ridge was presented, I believe, back in 2016. Mm-hmm. So 2016, we're almost 10 years into this thing. And we have a college there. We have multiple tech companies that are there, and it's still not enough, right? It's still not progressing in at the pace, like you said, with the technology companies are, let's say,
and it's not progressing because of that we haven't been able to.
So,
right?
And I think this is I think a mistake that they made is that they own the land to begin with. It was the old airport, and they wanted a hand in it.
Yeah, they wanted to control it. Yep, they wanted to control it.
The city wanted to control it. So I think if I was to rewind it, it wasn't necessarily that them being slow was the problem. It was the ability or the feeling like, for whatever reason, the government has to be involved in all of these things. And I don't think they need to.
No, they just want to tell Tech Ridge what to do all the time. And I'll tell you what, if you told Tech Ridge like money or take the handcuffs off, they'd be like, just take the handcuffs off, right? Like, I don't care about the CDA, but what you do is you make me put in the infrastructure, you make me do all this, you make these rules. I have to have this much of this much of this.
Yeah.
And the amount of control that they're trying to exercise over Tech Ridge, you end up with slowness, right? Mm-hmm. You bring up the word zipline, like, hey, zipline would be cool, but oh no, that's like, this is just too much. And like, oh, come on. Like the stupidest stuff that, just like, let us build. Like the best places in the world know how to build.
Yeah.
And I don't hear that enough from the city council. You hear fear around growth and not optimism around building, right? I'm not saying go and like recruit a bunch of people to live here. That's no. You don't need to go advertise, move to St. George. That's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
So you better embrace the fact that people are going to come here and accept it and build. But
we got to create the environment that attracts the people that we want to move here, right? We want to bring people here because they're going to come anyway. But having just 50% of the community be retirees, which is that's never going to stop. Like that ability, just because of our location on the earth, right?
Yes.
Because it's warmer weather. As you get old, it's painful in humid areas. Like, there's a reason why older people stay out of the cold and they go to the warm, dry areas. And that's what we have here. And so we're always going to have that, but those aren't positive impacts on the economy. Those are drains on the economy.
All the more reason to build.
Money. All the more reason
because they're going to buy anyway.
To build,
they're coming anyway.
So it's building building out parts of our city that are going to be economic drivers, right? And in these businesses. So that's where I can't help but think, how can we release the shackles on Tech Ridge if there's any left? Because now that the CDA is done, I don't know what else is left, but that maybe that's a conversation for Isaac.
No, I mean, I think it's kind of done. But yes, it's moved in like this. I think the school district has to vote and some other stuff, but so I think it might be done in a few weeks. But and you were talking about economics, just that one of my favorite books is Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell. Like I love the book, and we're in a conservative town. Most of the people are, pretty conservative down here, including, I would say, the vast majority of people probably on the city council, but probably don't embrace a lot of the principles that are inside of Basic Economics. And I hear a lot of the same things from our elected officials is I hear, and as I hear the city council in San Francisco talk, and it seems so counterintuitive. Like, no. These are two totally different sides of the spectrum.
Totally.
They say things like smart growth. How do we slow the growth? We're so worried about the growth. This is all, dude, we've seen this play out in San Francisco. And now nobody can afford a home because they didn't build. And, you know, it's like,
or nobody
we're worried
wants to live
about
there
high
now.
density. Like, we're worried about high density. Like, it's all the same stuff, man.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's comical to me. And you read basic economics and it's like, you know, let the market drive the need, right? So, if we need to build, you know, and then they complain about water or something, and we don't do, you know, high density housing, like the best thing for water ever, right? Yeah, grandparents are upset that their kids can't live here anymore because they can't afford it, but then they don't want the apartments down the street. Like, just, dude, it's like, come on, like it's so yeah, that part gets a little frustrating. Yeah.
And I think it's the funny thing is because as I've had more and more of these conversations, right? That's a legitimate issue. We have a legitimate issue with water.
For sure.
And I was talking to a couple people. I went to the Housing Action Coalition forum, and it was a little painful for me to sit there and go through a lot of the conversations that you just hear happen all the time, right? It seems like we kind of just recycle out a lot of the same, you know, educational snippets, right? Like, hey, these things are important. There's this human element to it that we have to take into account. Like, this is who it's impacting. And then, you know, these are the solutions. These are the things that we can do about it. But then it's like, well, where's the action, right? And so when I look at that, water is going to always be a lever of growth, because at a certain point, we can only use what we got, and there's a value to, if we treat the water that we have, the cost of that water becomes, you know, really a massive jump, right? It's almost like its own little tax, right?
Yeah.
And so, but then you have to build water infrastructure to be able to treat that water, right?
Yeah.
And then we're dealing with a lot of factors that are outside of our control, with the Colorado River Basin Compact, right? With having Lake Powell Pipeline being our solution. So, you know, there's some creativity and some solutions that need to happen on that side of things. And I'm actually super confident in the people who are running that side of things, that they can execute on those. And it's also one of these things that's like separate, right? There's only so much we can do about the water.
It is separate. So when
it's separate. And so you can't say I'm going to limit growth because of this water thing.
They're totally different.
Yeah, they have to operate.
You have to build regardless.
Yeah,
because
you have to go this direction.
Because I've heard people say this, and those that are running for city council, they say, "Look, hey, I'm all for free markets unless the water's happen, unless I can pull the water card, right?" And they pull the water card, and they're like, "Oh, we got a water issue. We got to slow growth."
Yeah,
like, you will have this. You cannot slow growth. Well, you can actually. You can't stop people from buying homes here. Cash that you know, the people from California or back east that want to move here, they're still going to go drop cash on a house. Yeah, no matter what our water issue is.
35% of the houses sold in Washington County are cash. 35%. And
that's crazy.
It's typically 40. It's typically 40. So we've pulled back on the cash.
Yeah.
As a percentage of the whole market.
Yeah. So if you say, so what is it? No one's explained this to me when I hear it all the time, which is, well, we might have to slow growth if the water isn't there. I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean? You're going to not build so that this happens? Now 80% is cash bought at some point, like, and then nobody can live here that grew up here? Like, no, go build, and then let, like, as a separate issue, figure out the water. That's your job. Figure out the water. And that might mean higher density. It might mean certain things. Like, honestly, I hope it's not all, you know, you want it to, but you can't stop people from buying homes here and wanting to live here. You just can't.
No.